Virodhinam Samvatsara Pushyamasa Krishna Paksha Navami Shukravasa, the 8th day of January 2010, Friday morning. Suprabhatam, welcome to my Timbalan session. Continuing yesterday's discussion on the Karma Yoga, a yoga which cannot be brought forth in the day-to-day activity cannot be something which is useful for us in this life, because the very life itself is nothing but karma. This is what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. The birth of yours, the birth of an individual, the birth of something in this world is recognized by the action that it takes place. In fact, an individual is an individual only because of the action. The wind blows, that's why it is wind. The water wets, that's why it is water. So much the action is identified. Actually, it's only the action that is first created. In this creation, there is only activity, there is no I. The wind does not say that I am blowing. The tree does not say that I am giving the fruits. It's only the human being. And in human being also, if you look at this, I came much later. In the children, when you see, this I is not there in the children. They only do an activity. In fact, for them, they also are like the third person. Like if you ask the child that is Bablu hungry, Bablu doesn't say that I am hungry. He says Bablu is hungry. This Bablu is sleepy. Bablu is upset. This is how basically he talks. He talks himself to be the third person. That means even at that time also the I was not born. But later on somehow this I has come. It has come so deep, it has come grounded so much in us. Actually, that is what creates a problem for us. All these things in the form of karma phala is all nothing but for this I. If I were not to be there, there is no karma phala. That's why Krishna suggests karmanye vadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Often people think that means to say there is no karma phala. The karma phala is there, but then karma phala, the resultant of an action, belongs to the action, not to you. Like the way that the rose flower belongs to the rose plant. Like the way the coconut fruit belongs to the coconut tree. So the action is like the tree, and the fruit of action belongs to the action itself and not to you. Great people are great because they did not want to own the fruit of an action. They did not even want to see the fruit of an action. That fruit automatically comes. Have that confidence. The day that when you put the mango seed on the ground, have a confidence that if you do the good work behind it, the fruits definitely do come. They may not belong to you, but they belong to the world. They belong to the plant. So this is how karmanye vadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. That is what we have seen yesterday. The second portion of that sutra that Bhagavad Gita Krishna gives is ma karma phala hetuhu bhu mate sangaha astu akarmani. Normally what happens is that when the karma phala comes up, the karma gives rise to the phala, immediately we put ourselves behind that action itself, saying that, look, the change has occurred because of me. This karma phala hetu, that means to say, the fruit of action, the cause for that, and you don't become that. We normally tend to become that. However much we give up everything, we say sacrifice everything, but still we would like to say that, look, it is I who did it and I would like to sacrifice that. So even that sacrifice also we would like to own it. Even the giving up also we would like to own it. That means to say, person who possesses is somebody who is great, But a person who gives up that must feels much more greater. That look what all I have given. Not only that the person who gives up becomes greater, but even the followers, they take him to be great because what all he has given up. Buddha has given up his kingdom to become Gautama. Siddhartha has given up his kingdom to become Gautama Buddha. At the same time, contemporarily, Mahavir also was a king, and he also gave up his kingdom to become Vardhaman Mahavir. So both of them have become great saints. They never looked back what they have given up. But then the followers started finding that Buddhists said that Buddha gave up greater kingdom. Jains started saying that Mahavir gave up greater kingdom. The person who has given up did not have any ego of what they have given up, but the followers continue to have that. This is how essentially that we become the cause for the karma phala. Ma karma phala hetuhu bhu. Don't keep yourself behind it. Why? Because of the simple reason that in any action that you do, your contribution behind the action is a small little percentage. But the contribution of the whole universe, the contribution of the whole mankind, the contribution of the whole ambience is so much more that you don't recognize that and you say that you have done it. Any action that you do it, the vyashti, the person behind the action, is very small, minute. Whereas the samshti which created that activity to happen is something which is extraordinary. Like the way that Gandhiji created a great national movement which resulted into the freedom of the country. But he was a very simple man. He never owned on this particular thing because he knew that the frenzy for the freedom has been created by much greater people much before him, like Vivekananda, Bankim Chandra Chatterjee. All these people who have contributed have done this whole thing. All that what we need to do is to just give a little impetus for that. That's what Gandhiji felt. The same way, every time, every activity, you can look at the whole activity when you see that, you see the amount of the contribution from the outside world is so much. It is not because of you that the things happen. But you know, often what happens is that even though our contribution will be very small, very little, we would like to shine by that. We would like to own the cause for the result of an activity. When I was working as an engineer, I remember very well, we used to have satsang at our home evening after the work is over. So many people would come, people from contractor side, worker side, and so many people used to gather together. We used to have some discussions about some spiritual topic. It was very nice. But then each has his own agenda there. So one day before all the satsang started, people got together and then they were discussing. And naturally, in a project area, when the discussion is going on, it is about the engineering work that they are doing. So something came up, and particularly in the engineering work, you know, that the engineers are there, planners are there, designers are there, all those people are there. And then in that particular ladder, the lowest person is one who is a bar vendor. That means who keeps the bars there and he ties the bars together. He has nothing to do with whatever the dam comes, whatever that structure comes, what is the design behind it, nothing. That's all his contribution, that wherever there are two rods coming across, he has to just simply tie them or put a tack on them. That's what is his work. And this fellow is a very interesting person. He was very enthusiastic for the work that he has done. And then there is a huge dam in North India, the Bhakranangal Dam. Somehow the talk came up, you know, Bhakranangal Dam is like this, and people were talking. And this worker, he said, oh, that Bhakranangal Dam, wo to maine banai hai. I have done that. Right? Fellow was doing only just a small little job there, and he owns that he is the person who is doing it. A true sadhaka is one who doesn't own it. Vivekananda, after his world tour, when he was coming back, several Westerners followed him. In fact, that was the first time that Westerners have taken to come to India for the spiritual reasons. That means to say, before that time, that they were thinking that India is a paganistic country, as a country where there is not even a moral standard, there is a question of a spiritual growth. And Vivekananda went there and created that impression that India is a land of spirituality by his thoughts, by his very behavior, by his being there. And people were impressed. Several Westerners followed him. And one such Westerner who followed him was Sister Nivedita. And Nivedita, when she came to India, she had so much of an opposition for various things. She is a very strong lady. And then she could not agree for anything. And Vivekananda took all the patience to change her into what is today the Margaret Noble became Sister Nivedita. And finally, she surrendered to him and wanted to become a sannyasin. And then, as a customary thing, that on the Guru Purnima day, she took the clothes and then gave it to Vivekananda so that he is her Guru to bless her by giving these clothes. And Vivekananda, while presenting her these clothes, he said, so beautiful, extraordinary, that is something we should remember. After putting all that effort, blesses her saying that, my dear child, if I made you, you perish. If God made you, you survive. That means all this change that occurred on you, it is not because of me, but because of the divinity, because of the God. Ma karma phala hetuhu bhu. Never keep yourself behind that it is you who is doing the work. It is you who is responsible for the results. In fact, the moment that you say that you are responsible for the work, that means to say the work becomes more of your ego rather than your spiritual growth and development. The karma becomes karma yoga when you surrender this I am the cause behind it. That's why Krishna says, Karmanye vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalahetuhu bhu. Don't keep yourself behind the person behind the fruit of action. But then, if I don't want to do, the fruit is not yours, you can't even own the result of an activity, then often people get into the depression saying that, then why should I do the activity? I don't want to do any activity. So that one would like to resort into non-doing. Non-doing. That's why the last portion that he says, Ma karma phalahetuhu bhu, mate sangaha astu akarmani. Sangaha means attachment, involvement into akarmani, non-doing. Mate sangaha. Let there not be any attachment. Don't get into the state of non-doing, because if you go to a non-doing that way, then you go into depression. That is like down the hill going down. Actually, the way that karma and akarma, that means action and rest, these are two complementary things. But they are not one rejecting the other. But whereas moment you think of going into non-action because of the reason that I don't involve in the activity, the fruit is not mine, I don't want to do anything. If this kind of a negativity pushes you into non-activity, that non-activity is not a productive non-activity, that non-activity is something which is much more detrimental to you. It is non-spiritual. That's why Mate Sangaha Astu Akarmani. It looks so critical, so difficult. Karma Yoga seems to be very difficult. That's why people say, alright, let me do some asanas and be done with that. Why do I bother my head about Karma Yoga? No. Karma Yoga is very interesting. This is one of the important karma principles. As I said, attitudinal principles Krishna brings about. When you look at this whole sutra, Karmanye Vadikaraste, you see that every moment can be a practice of yoga. Every moment you can convert into the form of yoga. Another very important aspect Krishna brings about in Bhagavad Gita, he says, let us take that also, and that is, he says, Karmano hyapi bodhavyam cha vikarmanaha akarmanashcha bodhavyam gahana karmano gatihi. It is very difficult to understand what is karma. very difficult to understand what is akarma and what is vikarma. This is what Krishna says. What is so difficult about karma? In fact, an action itself is karma. Why is it so difficult? Action that originates from silence is what is karma. But is it really originating from that akarma, from that silence? Your actions, you look at what the way that you developed all your activities. In fact, when you look at the whole activity that you have developed or the life journey, every activity developed as a response to the world outside, as a reaction to the world outside. This is how we develop. Like the way that a child develops talking. You just observe the child, how it is developed. The mother talks something, it makes some sound, the child observes that sound, observes the lip movement and all those things, tries to imitate that lip movement and then tries to develop talking. You ask the child, what is your name? First time the child does not know. Several times you ask, then the mother also prompts the child, the parents prompt the child now slowly develops to answer the name. What is the class that you are studying? The child slowly develops the response. So look at the whole thing, the development of all the activities that we are doing. These activities that we develop, they have not developed like an activity, but they have developed like a response to an activity. A response to an activity that is there outside, we develop that. Whereas when the wind blows, the river flows, the waves of the ocean come, they are natural, spontaneous activity. They are not like a response for somebody else. Like somebody is seeing, so that's why the waves, the ocean does not say that I should send the waves. Waves come whether somebody sees or not. And the flowers flower whether it is in your garden or in the jungle, because it's a natural, spontaneous activity. Whereas in the human being, a lot of our activities are developed because of either response or in the form of reaction. In fact, as we grow ahead, then slowly what happens? Our actions slowly become, rather than response, more of a reaction. Somebody says something, I react. This is how we develop ourselves. Krishna says that's why it is so difficult to understand what is karma. Not only that reaction comes in the form of activity, but also a non-activity. That's why he says, karma is fine, akarma is fine, but vikarma is bad. And often people translated this vikarma is the rejected or the prohibited activities. What are the prohibited activities? We say that a prohibited activity is stealing, hurting somebody, etc. These are all the prohibitive activities. In fact, Krishna is not standing there to tell Arjuna that you should not steal, you should not rob, you should not rape, because Arjuna by himself, he was very good all the time. Even given a chance that he can do something bad, he did not do bad. Every time he followed the righteousness. There is no way Krishna could tell him that these are all the things which are bad, don't do those things. Like the way that a patient comes to us with a heart problem and then we tell him that look, smoking is bad for heart. He says smoking may be bad for heart, but why do you tell me? I never smoked in my life. So there is no point in telling me something which I have not done. The same way, if a prohibited activity is something which you are not supposed to do it, then Arjuna says that those activities which I am not supposed to do it, I never did it. And I have been a good person all the time, and today I am in the battlefield requiring your assistance, your advice. There is no way that you can tell me about that. In fact, Bhagavad Gita is not a text which has to say to you what is right, what is wrong. By the time that they came to Bhagavad Gita, you see that Arjuna was the good person and leading the good people, and the whole army of Pandavas are supposed to be good. There is no reason for them to be said what is good, what is bad. Whereas Duryodhana was bad, intentionally he was bad, and the surroundings that he kept himself was bad. So actually, when you come to the war field of Bhagavad Gita, it is more of a fight between good and bad. And then the leader of the good is Arjuna, the leader of the bad is Duryodhana. So it is a battle there at that point of time. And Duryodhana did not require Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna required Bhagavad Gita. Because if Duryodhana had a problem, you don't have to give him Bhagavad Gita. All that what you need to do is to tell him that don't do bad, because bad brings about problem to you. In fact, to tell what is good, what is bad, you don't require a Bhagavad Gita. Even a street policeman is good enough to tell you what is right, what is wrong, what is good, what is bad. You don't require a law to come and tell you. So this message that Krishna talks about in Bhagavad Gita, particularly in the name of Vikarma, it is not the simple bad activities, but it is something which is much more deeper in its sense. So we need to understand that. What is Vikarma? In fact, it is easy to understand what is karma, what is akarma. Why do you tell me where is this question of Vikarma? Let me give a very simple example of the day-to-day life. Like you are watching a cricket match on the TV or a football match on the TV, and the child is crying, and the child says, Papa, take care of me. You say, no, I'm busy. Go to your mom. Because either I have now an opportunity either to do the activity or not to do the activity. One is to do the activity in the form of going and taking care of the child. The second is, I prefer not to do the activity, that means karma and akarma. I prefer akarma, not to do the activity because I'm watching the TV. But then I tell, go and tell your mom. And then mom says from the kitchen, I'm busy cooking, you take care of it. Then he says, now he brings about the cultural issue there. So he says, look, in an Indian family, it is the wife mother who is supposed to take care of the child, not the father. See, he wants to still hold on to akarma. Wife says, okay, I take care of the child, but then you will not have food today, do upavas, finish. Now he has no other go. It is like a veto. He has to take care of the child. You see, now he has to switch himself from the karma to akarma to karma. Now he goes to the child, yeah, tell me, what am I supposed to do it? You see, the anger, the rejection, everything is there in his voice. From the kitchen, next voice comes saying that, take care of him properly, don't shout at him. You have no other go. But you suppress yourself and do an activity outside. This is what is Vikarma. Vikarma is where you are still doing an activity, but you have created a negativity within you, a rejection within you. I don't want to do it very strongly. That means to say, Vikarma is a situation where you are splitting your personality. You are becoming schizophrenic. One personality says do it, another personality says don't do it, and then there is a clash that is going on between one and the other. It is not the clash between the husband and wife, it is not the clash between the father and the son, but it is the clash between one mind of you which says that do it, another mind which says don't do it. This is what is Vikarma. Vikarma is where you created a fight within yourself. You created a cancer seed. You planted a cancer seed. That's what is Vikarma. Now look at your day-to-day life. Are you doing karma? Are you doing akarma? No. The whole day looks like that we are doing Vikarma only. Like you set yourself the alarm time is to get up in the morning at 6 o'clock. Alarm goes and first thought that comes in the mind is nonsense. It's already 6 o'clock. I hate getting up in the morning. And then, but still you have to get up. There is a fight going on. And then you go to the traffic, driving the vehicle, and then you see the traffic. It is you are supposed to go through the traffic. But then you say, I hate this traffic. And you beat the car, you shout at the whole thing, and this is what you create. Though you are going, it is not the karma that you are doing, or maybe in the traffic you are stuck, it is not the karma, akarma that you are in, but you are doing Vikarma. Similarly, you go to the office, as soon as you get to the office, first thing that you see is the boss in front of you. The thing, that thought comes in mind is that, hate this fellow, early morning I have to see his face, my whole day is spoiled. And then you go to him, nice sir, good morning, how nice to see you in the morning. You created a Vikarma within you. This way when you look at it, who created this Vikarma? It is not somebody else, it is you created. You are supposed to do it. The situation is there for you. Vastu sthiti is what demands you that you should do it, and you are supposed to do it, but you don't do it. You fight with that your own situation. It is like you only create the situation, you kept up the alarm countries, but you are fighting with yourself. It is like my friend Mullah Nasruddin, when I was working in the office, he opened his lunch box. All the time in the afternoon when we all sit together and eat lunch, and then he opened the lunch box and said, same roti, same dal, same sabji. I said, what is this? One day he said, maybe tomorrow he will be alright. Next day also he said the same thing, same dal, same sabji. Third day also he said, every day he said, saying the same thing. I said, Baba, why do you have to say that? If you want something different for your lunch, get something different for your lunch. After all, your wife must be a nice lady. Or that you tell her that what you want for your lunch box, she will definitely pack it for your lunch. In fact, that is what our people do it at home. He says you are lucky. What do you mean by you are lucky? Means to say that your wife does not listen to you? I think she must also listen to you. She would also be listening to you. He said, no, I am not married. Right? Then who packs your lunch box? He said, I pack myself my lunch box. This is what happens. You pack your own lunch box and you complain about that. That's what is vikarma. You decide to do it, but you hate what you do it. You buy certain thing in the market, and once it is there, as long as it is there in the shop, hanging there, it looks wonderful. But the moment you buy it, you don't like it. I should have bought something else. See, you create vikarma in every activity that you do it. Small little thing to big thing, that you create this vikarma. Vikarma is a state where you are fighting with your own self. You have created a negativity within yourself. This fight, if you look at it, 90% of our activity, we are creating vikarma. 90% of our activity, we are in the form of vikarma. And every time that you are fighting with yourself, what is happening within you? Look at the body chemistry. Your adrenaline is poured into your body, into your blood, and your steroids are produced into the blood. Your whole blood chemistry changes. Your nervous system breaks down. You are fighting with yourself. This is what results into all kinds of problems today, that we fight with ourselves. These are what we call it as psychosomatic ailments. These are called self-fighting with oneself. And that's why basically we suffer from all these problems. Krishna says that vikarma, don't do it, whether the karma works or akarma works, but try to take up karma or akarma, but don't go to vikarma. Vikarma for a moment might look to be fruitful, working, but vikarma on a long run is detrimental to our health. That's why Krishna says, don't do karma, don't do vikarma, do either karma or akarma. Karma and akarma, they are complementary to each other. Look at the child. Child does not have anything like vikarma at all. Happily plays around, if it does not like, he does not like. If he goes to sleep, he goes 100% to the sleep. There is nothing like for us. When we go to sleep, we struggle to go to sleep. When we get up, we do not get up immediately. We try to postpone it. My friend in Germany, I go to his house whenever I go to Germany and work there, and his wife and myself, we get up early morning at 6 o'clock, we have our satsang and sit down, and 7:30 we have to leave for the work, so that 8 o'clock we are at work, and suddenly you start hearing the sound of his getting up and running to the bathroom and all that at 7 o'clock and all those things, and then by the time that he comes to the dining table where we are sitting for the breakfast, it is just 5 minutes before 7:30, and 5 minutes hurry, he takes his breakfast, and then 7:30 he leaves, reaches the office 5 minutes before 8 o'clock. He says, I get up in the morning at 7:30, do blah blah blah, all those things, and 8 o'clock I come to the office, then I wake up. See, until that time he has not woken up. He is still sleeping. He wakes up only coming to the office. That means to say that you are fighting with yourself. Let us wake up. Awakening is one where there is no question of vikarma. There is only karma or akarma. Let us try to live beautiful way that way without any reaction within us. Karma is action, akarma is non-action, vikarma is reaction. And reaction is always bad. Look at yourself, how many times you are reacting to the situation. Every reaction, it not only spoils the personal relationship with the others, but much more important thing is, every reaction spoils your health, spoils your balance, your harmony. Let us try to go back to that harmony. Thank you.